Welcome back, guys, to the channel. Today we work on a stainless fuel tank for a buddy's hot rod, 1927T. It's a Ballard Goes Racing. If you guys aren't following him, you should. Check it out. His channel has a lot of racing videos and stuff on his builds that he's doing. So we're gonna get started working on cleaning this fuel tank up, wiping it down with acetone and getting it mocked up to start tacking it together so that we can eventually finish welding it out. So I have a local buddy who has a fab shop, and he's got a laser and a CNC press brake. And we basically came up with the dimensions of what this tank needs to fit into and drew it up on SolidWorks. And then obviously he burned it out on the laser, and then CNC press broke this whole unit on an Armada press brake, I believe. So we got to get this set up. There's a few things that we need to put together before we actually start tacking the main body of the fuel tank together. One being the sending unit has a backer plate that sits underneath here, and it just adds rigidity. But we also need to punch these holes out and thread them so that the sending unit, when it threads into it, has threads obviously to go into. And then the other thing is there's a support ring that goes underneath the back of the hole for the pump hat, so that when it's got these little tangs or arms that pop out when you go to tighten it down, that it has an extra thickness underneath the bottom to just give it more rigidity, and so that this doesn't flex so much. The other thing is I need to make marks. If you notice in the top of the fuel tank here, it's got a bunch of holes popped in it for baffles. So I need to make some marks here on the tank to make sure that I can align up my baffles when I have this lid off, so that I can align these baffles right here in the correct position and tack them in place. So when I set this top piece back on, it'll be aligned right over these holes here, which I'll be able to tack through these holes to hold the top of the baffle in position. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to taking this apart, and we're going to work on this plate, getting some threads put in it, figuring out where this needs to sit in position, and tack that on there. We'll get the welder all set up and use some acetone on these areas to get them prepped for welding. Okay, so to start, we're going to work on the sending unit backer plate, support plate. Obviously this we know is a round hole. It's just going to go over the round hole for the fuel pump assembly, and we'll just tack that in position. But this needs to get drilled and threaded to 1032, and on my sheet it says to use a 5/32 bits. That's the nearest fractional of an inch to this tap. So what we're going to do is drill through this to that 5/32, and then we'll run the tap through there to get our threads, so that when this sits over the top or underneath the top of this, there'll be threads in the holes for the actual sending unit to go down into. So let's drill these out to start with. So the thing about stainless steel is that it's a hard material, harder material than regular mild steel. So having a good drill bit, and I think you want to use a cobalt style drill bit, or a drill bit that's set up to drill stainless steel, which is a harder material, is always beneficial. Because if you try to use like a regular nitride coated, what they call, drill bit, it'll just dull it and take away the end of your cut basically on your drill bit. So, and the other thing is to drill slow. The other thing is make sure you have more than one drill bit in case the drill bit you're using dulls or breaks, because those are two possibilities that you have to encounter for. So we're trying to tap our stainless steel here. So just making sure that you hold it straight and don't get too carried away. And just try to take small bites at your threads. Otherwise, you could gull up your threads or potentially snap your tap off in it. Because this is a 1032, so it's not exactly a large tap that you're working with. So we'll do this on each hole, and then once we get this done, we can move on to wiping down those areas that these attach to and welding them in position.
What tap are you on now?
Tap number 2. I already broke the first one, and we're on tap number 2. And we still have 4 more holes to drill. So the chances of us breaking this tap and having to run into town to get another one on a Saturday is a good possibility. Very good possibility. But 1 hole down, I was able to get the broken piece of the tap out and finish tapping this hole. So we will move on to the other ones and get lucky here, hopefully. I'm wiping these parts down with some acetone, as you can see here, just to get the oils off of it and get it clean. We're going to tack these in position first. And I've got my welder set up. I cleaned my tungsten and have it sharpened well. My ground's hooked up. And then I've got some clamps that I'm going to use to hold this in position. I'm just going to double check my hole alignment. Which looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few small tacks on here just to hold this ring in position. All right.
I would do more than probably a tap.
Oh yeah, I'll come back and I'll put a heavier bead on there. Can you turn my amperage up to 85 on that? Thanks. So I've got both items tacked. I'm going to use my baffle to get this up off of the cardboard so I'm not burning cardboard. But I'm just going to come back and I'm actually going to just make, instead of having tacks, I'm going to make some actual stitches so that it actually supports it. And then there's these two are right by each other. So I'll probably make a bond between these two right here as well with the stitch weld. There we go. Seven and a quarter, 7 1/4. Tack this side. So what I have here is a fixture table from Hobo Freight for it's like $179, $169. Anyways, yeah, it's a tiny fixture table. What it does is it's got a bunch of holes in it, and it allows you to hold stuff down in position so that it doesn't move or warp on you. So my thought is to do that with this. You know what? I'm gonna wipe this down real quick. And I think you could probably link two of these together if you wanted to. Maybe even like bolting them together or welding them together. I don't know, like a couple different options, but it's not a bad little fixture table for the price, honestly. If I had an unlimited budget, would I buy like a really legit fixture table? Yeah, it'd be probably 3/8 or a half an inch thick, and probably be the size of this table, but that's big money. And if I was doing more work that required that, then sure, I'd probably spend the money on it. Watch your I've got the baffles tacked in on the bottom. Once I get the over lid, the top piece put on, they have holes in them to where I can tack the tops of the baffles. The cutout here for the tray is tacked on the inside. It's not going to go anywhere. So at this point, I think what we're going to do is we're going to remove the clamps. We're going to get the top piece set on here and clamped together and fixtured to the table so that it all holds. And I'll probably need to get Chris's help aligning some of these corners as we start to put them together. So. All right, so we are back and we have successfully tacked together the tank. Not too much warpage. Stainless does tend to warp. It's very finicky with heat. But we're at the point now where the baffles are welded across the top. It's fully tacked, like I said, and we're gonna start coming through and stitch welding the tank completely closed. You don't really want to do a solid weld from one end to the other on your joints, because that's where you transfer a lot of heat and that's where you get a lot of excess warpage. So we're going to try to do some skip welding, and then we're going to move around, rotate this tank around as we need it until we can get it fully welded completely. All right, so after working from 9 o'clock this morning till it's now 5, we have successfully fully welded the tank out and put the fill cap in from ProWorks. That's done, and I'm 100% sure that this thing is going to work just perfect for what we're going to use it for on Chris's 27. So we're going to cut and we're going to change angle, and we're going to show you how this is going to get implemented into the 27, and we'll see if you guys like the take on what we're doing. So what you have here is a vintage suitcase from probably the
I want to say late 50s, early 60s. I can't remember actually.
50s or 60s antique vintage suitcase. And inside, voila, it is the fuel tank. So this will go on the back of the trunk deck lid on the 27. It's exactly 12 gallons of capacity, and that's going to give Chris a little bit longer drive time before we have to stop and fuel him up.
The tank we had before was like 6.9 gallons. This is 12. It should be like 11.9, 11.8 or so. The way that we designed this with the help of Phil, and we have the sending unit?
Sending unit, yep.
We have the sending unit here. I would actually call this a sending unit.
No, sending unit measures the float level. The fuel pump hat is going to be a dual, like what they call a dual Phantom 2-340 fuel pumps that'll sit down in there.
So the lines will come down actually through here. We had a cutout, so the lines will actually go through, and then have quick couplers that go underneath the trunk lid. So they'll have to build the rack for it, but there will be a luggage rack on the back of the car. So this will be all hidden away. People won't know what it is. And what's nice about it is I keep my methanol system and my pump gas system completely separated now. Before we're having to drain the tank, and then the big problem is going from pump gas back to methanol, making sure you get all the pump gas out. Because if you got any pump gas in there and it's on, you got a lot of boost going, could potentially burn up the engine. So
he's also going to be able to remove this thing off the back of the car when he gets to the track and turns the car over, and then he'll be able to install a wing or whatever he wants to do on the back of it. But this will be removable. It'll sit on a basket on the back that's got tabs that come out of the trunk deck lid, and it'll be all secured and everything. The other cool thing is that, like I said before, it's just going to give him that extended drive mileage, so we don't have to stop so much for him to fuel up.
Yeah, yeah.
Before it was like, what, every 50 miles, 60 miles?
If we were really stretching at 60 miles, we would have to stop and top off, at least with a can of gas. So
on these drag and drives, the idea is not to have to stop as much, so the extra fuel capacity is going to be a huge benefit in his case.
Yeah, big time.
So I hope you guys enjoyed what you've seen here on this video with Chris and I, and making this fuel tank for his 27T. And if you like more, follow along with Chris Ballard Goes Racing and Harmon Customs, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See ya.
See ya.